Let me record this computer. So anyway, everybody, we were watching a little bit of the intro video to building a house, Scott. And this is our group of interested people. Some of the people were going to go this year. Some of them were just interested because I bug them all the time. And so everybody, we would have had a full team because we didn't even take signups for this trip, which was scheduled for June 5th or 6th, because we had so much interest that we didn't even take signups yet. Well, because of the virus thing, we kind of knew we might be in trouble on this one. So anyway, I wanted to introduce to you Scott Western. Scott, I have a couple questions. First of all, we wanted to let you know, as Giving University, you sent out a letter to the groups because I think you guys saw that there's a chance that groups would not be able to come for obvious reasons. And so I think there was 3 options in your letter. Do you happen to recall what they were?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the options that we had was, teams that were scheduled to come who already had raised funds to come for their trip, which we called kind of our core partner or our full partner, would be those teams that would decide to go ahead and still give or commit that money this year, even though they're not able to come. The second would be what we call our home building partners. And we realized that, there were many groups or teams who had already done some fundraising, but not all of it. And we knew, based on the cancellations of our spring teams, that we would, have some teams who would want to still send money to build houses. But, as I'm sure, very well, it takes a village, a YUGO village, in order to build a house. And so, our ministry really depends on the registration fees from the participants in order to, keep our national staff employed and all, a lot of the other work that we do. And then kind of the third option was, if a team wasn't able to do either of those two, and if they just wanted to make a donation to YUGO, this season in lieu of coming, that, we'd really appreciate that. So we, it's interesting for us, not to, go on any longer than answering your question, but, I remember back during the 2008, 2009, the crash of the economy, the H1N1 swine flu, which, originated in Mexico. And we had 40% of our teams drop off in that year. And this year, really since the beginning of March, we've had 100% of our teams, either cancel or reschedule. So we had wanted to provide those options proactively, because we know that, people like yourself, Dan, in the Giving University and our many other, partners in the US and Canada want to come in 2021. And so we want to be able to have our staff and our campus here, ready to receive teams next year. And we knew that we would need some giving, some help this year in order to make it through.
Awesome. Well, listen, we got some good news. I think we have an $8,000 deposit or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to free that up for you guys to do with it what you would like.
Wow. That is incredible.
If you'd like to build a house, or maybe you can tell us a little bit, has the food situation morphed into more of a problem and more of a need, or do you think you guys would still probably build the house?
Well, honestly, as we are, based on our payment policies, right now as we're moving through May, it's kind of moving the deadline for our July teams forward. And, we're anticipating that all of our summer teams will cancel. Um, and it won't really be until we're done seeing what are the different pledges or commitments to really know, where do we stand. And, in my role as the CEO, I have the fiduciary responsibility to ensure that the ministry can survive through this. But secondly, after that, then we already do have about 75 families that we had already vetted, and prepared for this year. And so, we will want to build as many homes as we can with our national staff and help from our local community partners once it's, safe for all of us to go back to work. Because
Right.
actually, here in Mexico, we're 4 weeks behind the coronavirus curve than the US. So we're still on lockdown here. Actually, they have the highway closed, the roads closed coming in and out of the city right now.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, we want you to have the freedom, and just tell
Thank
us
you.
so we can let our team know. And so
Yeah.
for all you kids on the call,
It's great seeing all you kids. I should have had my girls come join me. I have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old girls. So great seeing all your faces and your waves.
awesome. Well, this would be the first time we do a GU trip with kids, so that's good, and hopefully it'll stay good. So anyway, you have 75 houses kind of committed to. So just so you kids know, it's difficult for us in the United States because you guys are in week 10 or 50 or whatever we're in, and you're tired of your parents and they're really tired of you, trust me. But as hard as it is for us, it's even worse for people that don't have really a home. And our friends at YUGO, a nonprofit down in Mexico, builds 150 homes a year. And right now, 75 of those homes are in limbo. The other thing we're going to do, Scott, is we're going to send you our money in for next year for our home that we're going to build. We got the dates with you already. I had a question. How much on your schedule for building a house? How much is house E? You have a house E, and it says ask.
Gosh, now just because I'm the CEO, like, why would you know? I'm like, I do not know the price for that. I will say that generally that is a house that can end up being modified in a few different ways. And so generally what we do, Dan, is this can get driven one of two directions. Either a team will come to us and say, hey, we have X amount of dollars available to build a house for a family. We can do something a bit more custom or special. Or we will have a family that either due to the size of the family or often due to some medical challenges that someone in the family is experiencing, a special needs child or adult, that would give reason for us to want to try to do something kind of out of the box, if you will. And so generally I think that's what, the E, we have the A, the B, the D, and then the E is kind of a newer opportunity. And it's really just as we continue to see the needs that exist in the communities, that, we want to be able to reach these forgotten families, who are slipping through the cracks, who aren't able to get any assistance from the local government and really, really are in some dire situations.
Okay, what we'll do, Scott, is we'll send $12,500, and then we'll figure it out later.
Okay.
We'll build a little bigger than we were planning on. Tell the kids why you build houses and a little bit. Take a few minutes on why do you have to build houses for people?
Sure.
And maybe how do you pick the people?
Yeah. So can I just ask a quick question? Because I'd love to know who the audience is this evening. So would you guys be able to just tell me real quickly, like where you are all from, what city or towns you're from?
Okay, let's start with Dan Isley. Dan?
Hi, I'm Daniel. This is my 11-year-old Pete and my 9-year-old Dean and my wife Angela.
Hey guys.
We're from Riverside, California.
Okay.
And I work for Power Plus.
Okay.
And Dan is the manager of the Corona office. That's where the virus started.
Yeah.
All my fault.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, Myrna, where are you from?
Hi, Scott. So I'm Myrna Coria, and I'm from Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay.
And I would have my daughter Isabella here, but she's not. She's with her dad for the evening, so it's just me solo today. And I'm one of those that Dan has been bugging for a long time. So
he's hard to say no to.
He's hard to say no to. Yeah.
Well,
but I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
And then Dee, tell us where you guys live.
Sometimes getting off mute's tough.
For real. For real. All right. I'm Dee Kersey. I actually also work for Power Plus. I'm here with my wife, Shaylee, my daughter, Amela, who is going to be 14, my son, who will be 7, and my 18-year-old just walked in. So we're currently in Eastvale, California, but here in about a month and a half from now, we will be in Mesa, Arizona.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know you were in the Mesa. When did that happen?
I was going to make that announcement next week, but yeah.
Out of the bag.
We just took the lid off that one.
Well, he's just trying to get away from me. That's the whole thing.
I'm trying to run far from you, Dan. Yes.
All right, we got this other really good-looking family. It looks like the Grays, and their dad's a tech guy, so he should be able to get his microphone on, but we can't promise. So who are you guys?
We're still on mute.
We're the Grays. We're not still on mute.
Oh,
we are in Denver, Colorado. This is our 7-year-old Tyler. This is our 5-year-old Jordan, and my wife Carissa right here.
Hi guys.
And I am related to Dan Dyke.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My condolences. No.
Yes. I was raised by him, so I got lots of problems.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
These are our oldest 2 kids. We actually have 2 younger kids.
Okay.
One we're currently still fostering, and one we have fostered to adopted out of the foster care system. And then
great.
Dave and I are both actually original GU, like alumni. I think I might have been in one of the very first classes of Power Plus's alumni class. Have yet to go on a trip because I have too many kids. Hopefully Lebanon. And then, but we're excited to have the girls go to GU class. And I've actually built a house maybe with YUGO, right, Dad?
I don't know. I think it was with Aqua Viva, but
okay.
Like you
Otherwise known as Agua Viva. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn Chris off before too many secrets get out. All right, Scott. So go ahead and tell us a little.
Well, there's one more at the bottom of my screen.
Oh, well, that's Beth.
Hi, Beth.
We try to ignore Beth as much as we can.
Hi, Scott. I often get overlooked. I am the Giving University admin, and I do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff to get all of these fabulous people out to where they need to go.
Awesome.
Great. So we might, interface at some point, but you also have our leader, Veronica, and so she'll be interfacing with your team. And so I'm behind the scenes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, so thanks so much for just giving me a couple moments to get to, meet you guys. Thanks for, this time this evening. So here's why people would need homes here in this area. So Ensenada is primarily an agriculture and commercial fishing city. Actually, most of the agriculture that's grown here is exported to the US. So tons of tomatoes and lots of herbs, various vegetables. I mean, onions, cilantro, basil, all types of different things are grown in the fields here. And the amazing thing in this area is that we have over 10,000 people a year are migrating up to Ensenada from central or southern Mexico. They're coming from places where for them it's hard to earn even $2 a day. Here in Ensenada, the national mandated daily wage for an employee in Mexico is the equivalent of $46 a week. And that's working 6 days a week, so having Sunday off. And yet, that is a much, much higher income than many of these families would earn, down in southern Mexico. Now, really, for a lot of the families that we build for them, their promised land is the United States. And, they would love to be up across the border, working in, fields or in agriculture, somewhere in the US. But so they settle here. Now, if you haven't been to Ensenada before, we're essentially a desert, just like the greater Los Angeles area. Is really a desert that's just, been irrigated, and so things grow there. And so one of the interesting things, and I'll try to be as fast with this as possible to not lose your attention, but down in southern and central Mexico, it's much more tropical. The land is very fertile. And so even though a family may only be able to earn a couple dollars a day, they have the kind of soil that they can grow all their own food. The rain provides their drinking water from them. They'll live by a stream, do their, bathing, gathering their water, do their laundry, everything in the river. And because there's trees there, then they can build their own little hut, if you will. But so those families leave that area and they use all their money. Often they actually will take out a loan. And so then they'll arrive in Ensenada with a debt to pay back. And they've always been able to live off the land. And so they arrive in Ensenada, which is like a desert. And so how do you live off the land in a desert? And so that's why they end up building, as you would have seen in that video a few minutes ago, they end up building houses out of stuff that's been thrown away. So old used pallets, scraps of old tarps or plastic, maybe an old garage door. And so generally, these are families that are living in a house that has a dirt floor, would not have any windows often. For the entryway into the house, it's not a doorway, but usually just a blanket. And studies show that if you move a family from living on dirt to actually living on a cement slab, it cuts down the amount of diarrhea in the family by 85%. And so, so these houses that we're building, though they're very small, I mean, really, they're probably about the size of a 2-car garage, at your house, maybe even a little bit smaller than that. And yet, it's able to provide, 2 bedrooms and a common living area for the family where they can have their kitchen. One of the great things, awesome, thanks, Dan. One of the great things is that the security with having a door. windows, that are, sliding windows with screens. It really improves not only their health, but also just their security. And so it improves, their emotional welfare, and just the self-esteem as well. And just to be clear, we give, these houses as gifts because groups like yourselves raise all the money for it. However, the families do pay for the land. And so most of the families are making a monthly mortgage payment on the land. Typically, a piece of land for one of these houses costs between $2,000 and $3,000. So I don't know if that answered enough, but that's, the why families here need these types of homes. So if you can imagine, there are literally thousands and thousands of families moving up. We now have well over 500,000 people here in our area. And literally, there are hundreds upon hundreds of families in many of these communities that are living in these shacks that if you drove by on the side of the road, you would think, oh, maybe someone, is storing something in that, old little shack. But I remember one of my first weeks out in a community when we pulled up on site and we saw the dirt and the slab there to build the house. I saw this tiny little structure and I was thinking, oh, the family must be living somewhere else. And so I asked, is that a chicken coop? And the leader said, no, that's their house. They've been living in that for the last few years. And so it really breaks your heart. But also it's one of the most meaningful things you can do, obviously, is to give your time, give your blood and sweat, to help provide really a basic, essential resource for a family that they would otherwise not be able to ever have themselves. And it's really pretty tough for us to, kind of put into a comparison what that's like, to actually receive that house.
It's very good, Scott. Why do you let kids come build? Don't the kids just get in the way? Like, why should all these kids come and build a house?
No, actually, and I've found this, so I've been here for 18 years, met my wife here. My wife's family actually received the very first house the ministry here in Ensenada built about 25 years ago. So when I came 18 years ago, she was already serving on staff. But as I've found over the years, and as, I would have my American family come down and spend Thanksgiving here every year with us. And so my nieces and nephews, would all go out with us and we'd build a house for the week. And the interesting thing is this, kids are the same everywhere in the world. They all love to, play and do different things together. And kids are less inhibited by the language barrier than adults. As adults, we get too kind of stressed or uncomfortable stepping out of our comfort zone with regard to language. But, when kids show up on a site, and these families that we're building for all have kids. And so, the kids get involved in helping, painting, hammering in nails. When we build the house, there's all different types of nails that we use. So obviously the first day with the framing nails, well, that's when we're doing a lot of painting. So generally day one, more often, especially the smaller the child, they're probably more doing painting. And as the kids from the family would be helping to paint as well. But then by like day two, we start hanging drywall in the house. And, if your child has never actually pounded in a nail with a hammer before, probably a drywall nail is about the easiest, one to hit. and they're a lot of fun. And if you make a mistake, that can be patched up. But so kids have a great time on the building sites, and really are, able to enjoy helping to build the house, but also just having fun with the kids in the community.
And Scott, how many days does it take to build a house?
So generally a team shows up on Sunday afternoon. You actually get to meet the family Sunday late afternoon and then have dinner with them here on our campus. And, so we have what we call our strategic anchors. One of those is our dynamic program, the way that we do the house builds. The other is the partnership with the local church, the local community. But then one of the third anchors is our campus here. And so also for families, our campus is really safe and comfortable. We have like a sport court and ping pong tables and foosball tables, a coffee shop, Wi-Fi 24 hours a day. But so you get to meet the family and have dinner with them here on our campus. And then Monday morning is when you go out and start to build. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day long is building. Thursday is generally half a day to 2/3 of the day. And the dedication of the house is generally done on Thursday afternoon.
Super. Kids, does any of your kids have any questions? Any questions?
If you were wondering, my favorite color is blue. And even though my hair is almost white, I'm only 35.
Yeah,
so no, I'm kidding. I'm 51.
You look good for 65, but any questions, kids?
Yeah.
Go ahead. There's a question there.
Do we help furnish the house?
That is an awesome question. Yeah, that's a really great question. So again, most of the families that we're building for, since, they've been living in a dirt floor shack, they would have no furniture. We do provide a few add-ons that a group can decide to add on, like a dining table with chairs, which is a really, really basic but helpful necessity. Also, we provide as add-ons like bunk beds that, the groups help build into the rooms, or like a platform bed, with mattresses. Many of these families have never even actually either slept on a mattress, or if they have had a mattress, it's the whole family sleeping together on one kind of bare mattress. And we also can provide like stoves, and all kind of basic, furnishings that a family would really need, but even like curtains and things like that. And sometimes if a team has a little extra money and they want to spend a little extra time in the afternoon, there's lots of secondhand stores here where often a team will buy like a couch, or, some other furniture for the family. And generally what we do is when we pick a family for a team, we provide like a bio sheet on the family that shows their pictures, but also in the names and ages, but then kind of a story about the family. And then if there's any special or specific needs, it also lists those.
Scott, can we bring stuff down, or do you prefer that we shop locally?
No, well, absolutely you can bring things down. Depending on what you want to bring, there are some things, so as an example, like, and I'm only saying this because I was just talking about furniture. Larger items, are subject to importation fees. But lots of groups will, especially once they see the bio, have the ages, see some other needs, will bring down like kind of some care packages specifically for each of the children, even each of the parents, whether that's clothing or other, kind of gifts. and this is a fine balance. We're trying not to do like extreme home makeover, but we really want to love these families. And you would be surprised at the relationship that you're able to build with a family in just 4 days. You know, and because you're working with them, and when you're painting together and hammering together and eating lunch together, you know, like we often have, you know, people leaving at the end of a week and they're saying like, man, I know this family better than I know anyone on my street, you know. And it's just amazing how quickly that can happen. But absolutely, you're able to bring down things with you.
Hey, Scott, how many people can be in a group? How big? I mean, what's the biggest?
Okay, so now again, so keep in mind, there is a difference between like adult only or more of a family mix, okay? So if it's an adult only team, we really try to not have more than between 12 and 15 adults. We would say 15 adults would be max. But if it's a number of families together, you know, we really still want to have somewhere between 6 to 8 adults minimum. And so if you have 6 or 8 adults and then, you know, a handful or a number of kids, but again, with, you know, I mean, and to be just, you know, real blunt and open, you know, if there's lots of kids, just, you know, bringing like things like soccer balls, I mean, every day, you know, jump ropes, the longer jump ropes for like, you know, like you can end up having an impromptu little, you know, village Olympics happening there, you know, out in the street. Most of the communities where we're building, you know, these are small agriculture communities, dirt roads, very few vehicles driving around, and lots of kids. And so kind of the more kids, the merrier, if you will. So hopefully that answered that question.
I heard you say 16, so that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
All righty. Well, listen, everybody, we might end up building 2 houses next year. This would almost be one team if all of us on the screen came. And there's always a chance. And I know the GU board was really pretty excited when I presented this. And I think they were open to maybe having us do 1 or 2, you know, two houses would be a lot of fun. If we could work it out on the same week, that'd even be more fun. Well, listen, Scott, we're going to let you go. Thanks so much.
Can I say two quick things before I go? And I don't want to take this will be super fast.
Sure.
But thanks so much, Dan, and thank you guys. One, if you want to see any more, just look for YUGO Ministries on Facebook, and because we have tons of photos and team videos posted on there. But secondly, and because you're families, we do have lots of family rooms here on our campus. And so we do have rooms where mom and dad can stay together and the kids all be in together in one room. So even though it's kind of dorm style accommodations, we have lots of family rooms as well. So thank you guys, and stay safe.
Stay safe. Hang in there, Scott. Take care. We love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you, Scott.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Well, that was awesome. Beth is going to share, because we're going to keep this pretty quick. Beth's going to share a little bit with us. This is different because kids will be able to take GU classes to go on the trip. The trip, besides the house, just so your kids know, the house will be, you know, whatever it is, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000. And then each person costs $350 for the trip. And if you're out of state, you have to add the airfare. And if you take the GU class, everything is paid for. Your parents and you are paid for all your expenses. And so that allows you to kind of save up or do a little fundraising for the furniture and some of the furnishings if we can get it for the family. So Beth's going to tell us pretty quickly about the classes and just to give us a little idea of the classes. So Beth, go ahead.
Okay, guys, so we have been working on putting together some stuff that you all can learn. So your parents who've taken the GU class know a little bit about what we teach, which is about generosity. But we're working on a kids edition so that you guys can learn what it means to be generous. So some of what we're going to talk about is first of what's called intentional generosity. So the word intentional means to be generous on purpose. That means to give to people because you want to do it on purpose. The second lesson will be called It's Not Fair. And so that covers why not me too? So if maybe you're thinking, well, why should I go down and build a house for somebody? Well, why not me? Don't I get some stuff too? So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what it's like to share. And then talk about too what it's like to be an orphan, how to care for other people who don't have what you have. And you know, Scott talked a lot about that tonight. He talked about why and reasons why we want to go down there and why we want to help them. So we're going to talk about that too, what it looks like all over the world, not just in Mexico, but also where we live too, and how we can help people in our own neighborhoods. And then we're going to talk about what's important to me, meaning you. So what's important to you? What matters to you? Do your friends matter to you? Do caring for other people matter to you? Do you care about your pets? Do you care about the environment? Like, do you recycle? So we're going to talk about those things that are important to you. And then once you decide what's important to you, then we will show you how to write what's called a grant. And a grant is a letter that gets given to GU, and it tells the GU board of directors what's important to you and why you would like to give money to that organization or that group that you pick. So your moms or your dads will help you pick out something that's important to you and teach you about how to decide which group is most important or that is smart with their money. And then we will turn around and give you a grant. We're going to talk a little bit about different topics. I'll just show you some of the slides real quick. Talks about what Giving University is and what our mission is. And you can read it really quickly there. It's to ignite generosity and leave the world a better place. And we've kind of talked about that with Mr. Scott, right? Because he's already kind of doing that down there in Ensenada. And then we're going to talk about you because we want to know about you and what's important to you. We'll talk more about generosity and why it's important to be generous and not hold on to stuff and be greedy or stingy and not sharing. And we'll talk a little bit more about generosity, and we'll talk about different stories that we know of that kind of shares why people do what they do. Why do they decide to share what's left in their field after they've taken all the wheat away? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then for parents, we're going to do a little bit of homework and touch on some of that. We'll have some parent resources and a couple of different videos that we will be able to show to your kiddos and to support your endeavors so that not all of it falls on your lap in teaching these kids, your kids. It'll be more about supporting and giving you homework assignments and different ways to think about what it means to be generous and how to share. So that should go pretty quick. We'll do that for 4 weeks or 4 lessons. So the first 3 lessons will be before we go to the YUGO trip in Ensenada. So we'll probably start thinking about when to do that sometime this year. And then the last part of the trip, or the last lesson we will do when we're on the trip down in Mexico so that we can tie all the pieces together so it makes sense to you. Okay, so Dan, is that enough or do you want some more details?
Well, that was excellent. Thank you. We may start the classes actually first part of June. One thing I always like to do is keep it on track because even though the world is stopped, we like to keep moving on. We like to realize that you have to be intentional with good things, even if they've been put aside. And so one of the things I always try to do is keep pushing it down, keep doing the things that we need to do. And then we're really well prepared to do the trip. we're really excited you get grants. And Mr. Bray, the one that you'll see his video, if you have really a really compelling grant, he's willing to help you fund it up to $1,000. So if you find a really good thing that you'd like to help with, that you can get a grant for that amount of money. So that's really cool as a kid. The other thing it lets you do is if you go through the classes and you really like the classes, you can invite friends to come to another series of classes and maybe come on the trip with you, because we have lots of time to build a trip, because we have over a year right now. So anyway, we're pretty excited. The ages are 6 through 13, and I know one of you is turning 13 to 14, but you'll be special, let's say, but we'll figure it out. We may have you take a class or two in a regular GU class to kind of help understand how we figure out grants. So you guys have been really patient. I recorded this, so if you have somebody you'd like to show this to, make sure you email me and say, can I show this to somebody? And you can feel free to do that. Let me stop the recording here. So that finishes the recording.